All right, here we go. Welcome to the first ever live televised Capwise Hockey Association draft lottery. It is noon on a Wednesday, which is the middle of the workday. And I can't think of any better way to spend a workday than doing a draft lottery for a fantasy hockey league. So, here we go. Echo in here. There we go. All right. If you're watching this on the YouTube stream, which I believe you are, and if you're watching it live, you should be able to leave some comments on there. And hold on now. I keep hearing myself. There we go. I'm muting that one too. So if you have nice things to say, post them in the comments. If you have mean things to say, don't say them. All right. We've got a lot of stuff to get through here. We've got 10 leagues now. And the UFHL has basically 3 separate lotteries. So that gives us a total of 12 lotteries to get through. So without further ado, here we go. We're going to start off with the PCFL. We always start with the oldest league and move up the chain that way. So looking at the PCFL, I'm going to just share my screen here. If I can find the right screen. Okay, here's how we do this. Random.org, it's a wonderful tool. This is what's called their list randomizer. So what I've done ahead of time here is I've gone through each league and I've made a list of the teams that are in the draft lottery, 3 teams. You got a 60, 30, or 10% chance, depending on if you finished 14th, 13th, or 12th in the regular season. Those teams are listed here. I used 100 different columns, or 100 different rows rather. So you've got Money More from Power Forwards appears 60 times in this list. Pittsburgh Hornets appears 30 times in this list, and the LA Brew Pens appear 10 times in this list. Full disclosure, that is my team. And I don't own my first round pick. So there's no conflict of interest here, but I assure you this is all random anyway. So what I do to do a lottery is I just take this list from here and I copy it over to random.org's randomizer here. I'm going to click randomize, and that's going to provide me this list of team names in a random order. And I'm just going to assign the lottery based on the order that it presents. So looking at our 3 teams, as I mentioned, we have Money More from Power Forwards. They finished 14th. They have the highest odds, which is 60%. This is their second straight lottery. Obviously, last year wasn't enough to help them get over the hump. We've also got the Pittsburgh Hornets. They finished 13th. They were not in the lottery last year. Kind of a down year for them, so they'll be looking to rebound with a good pick here. And then you've got the LA Brew Pens, my team, and our second straight lottery, perennial bottom feeders. And also, I just love giving away those first round amateur picks in RFA bidding. So yet again, don't have my own pick this year. So that's it. Let's see what happens. Clicking randomize now. Look at that. I won. So the first overall pick is going to go to the LA Brew Pens. It's actually owned by the Black Harbor Octopi, who incidentally won the league this year. So great, you win the league and you get first overall in amateur. Congratulations. Second overall pick is going to go to the Power Forwards, who had the best odds in the first place. And third overall pick is going to go to the Hornets. That's the PCFL lottery. Congratulations to, well, J-Rock. And damn you. Yeah. Next up, so now I go back to the bottom here, by the way, and go back. Clear my list out, and we will move on to the ECFL. The ECFL had Team Wet Fox finish in 14th place. Team Wet Fox usually does better than this, so what the hell, Craig? 13th place was Duffy the Pool Slayer. This is actually a team that's up for adoption, and we'll have a new GM assigned to it in the coming weeks. So whoever gets it will be watching this closely, and I'm sure those of you who've expressed some interest in that team will be watching this very closely. And then finishing in 12th place this year was Don't Tase Me, Bro. That team is actually in its 5th straight lottery. Again, looking for that magical pick, a little bit of a Edmonton Oilers vibe to them. Just can't quite find the right choice. So those are your odds. Wet Fox, Duffy the Pool Slayer. Don't tase me, bro. Let's see what happens. Duffy the Pool Slayer coming away out of the 13th slot, second best odds, and yet they get the first overall pick. So Duffy the Pool Slayer and whoever ends up taking that team over is a very happy person right now. Duffy the Pool Slayer gets first overall, Team Wet Fox gets second, and Don't Tase Me gets third. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. First of all, we're going to, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to head over, I'm going to reset this and get it ready for the HUEL, which will be next. But we're going to switch gears first. We're going to do our first lottery for the UFHL. Now, doing the UFHL completely different. In fact, a little bit differently than I've ever done it before. We're having 4 drafts in the UFHL. It's 3 drafts. One of them is split into 2 parts. The first draft is the prospect draft. I'm not going to go into all the details here. You can find all that information on the forum or even in the rule book. And those of you who've gone through an inaugural draft for a league in the past will have experienced this. But the first one, the prospect draft, you get, it's 2 rounds. You draft an entire team's list of prospects, and then you choose 15 players from those 2 teams that you selected in the draft. It's not a super valuable draft. The top end guys, Lafreniere and all those guys are going to be pulled out. Even though they're JV eligible, they won't be on those lists in this draft. So the prospect draft is fairly low stakes. The way it works after that, we do a separate lottery with the exact same odds, everyone having equal odds for the amateur draft. This is a much more valuable draft. This is where you are going to get Lafreniere. Typically, you would get this year's top draft picks as well from the NHL. Because of the way the schedule's working out this year because of COVID, we are splitting our amateur draft into 2 parts. Part 1 is going to be anyone who's JV eligible for this season that just wrapped up. So that's going to be Lafreniere and the rest of those guys, any of those top end picks that weren't in the prospect draft lists. Then we'll have the NHL draft. After that, we're going to have amateur draft part 2. Amateur draft part 2 is going to be mostly your 2021 NHL draft picks. So what I'm doing for the order on that draft, let me pull this up. So here you see amateur draft part 1. Amateur draft, and that's based on lottery, by the way. So we'll do a lottery for the prospect draft. We'll do a lottery for the amateur draft part 1. Then the teams that finish 8th through 14th in that lottery, they're going to be moved up to be 1 through 7 in part 2. 1 through 7 in part 1 will drop down to 8 through 14 in part 2. Make some sense? So the amateur draft is one lottery. We'll cover both part 1 and part 2, and we'll have a different order for each of them. Now, the third part of this is the inaugural draft. That's your big 21-round beast where everyone is available. That's where you get your Connor McDavids and all those players. That order is not based on a lottery per se. That order is based on arithmetic, essentially. We have a formula that weighs the prospect draft position and the amateur draft positions in the 2 amateur drafts, and then calculates your position in the inaugural draft. Whoever gets screwed the most in those first 3 drafts will get number 1 overall in the inaugural draft. We've tweaked this formula over and over throughout the years. I think we've got it in a really good place now. Obviously, this part 1, part 2 of the amateur draft throws a little wrinkle into it, but I'm confident that we've got something good. So we're going to do this in 3 parts, and we're going to do it at 3 different times throughout this presentation. The first one we're going to do right now, that's lottery number 1. That's for the prospect draft. The way this works, I simply hit this button, and it's going to give me a random list of all the teams in random order. And that's going to be your draft order for the prospect draft. If anybody's concerned about how this works or whether this is on the up and up or whatever, happy to send you this spreadsheet. There is a hidden tab in here called Worksheet where all the magic happens. Here's the teams. They're listed alphabetically right now. They're going to be assigned a random number when I run the macro, and that's what's going to put them in their order. So without further ado, let's see the prospect draft order. This is draft lottery number 1 for the UFHL. Good luck, everybody. There you have it. Mylan Mad Cat is going to take first overall in the prospect draft. That's Chris, I believe, right? Yeah, Mylan. Yeah. After that, we'll have Central Red Army, Belka Interceptors, Southie Tacos, and so on down the list. That's your prospect draft order. All of these drafts, by the way, are serpentine or snaking order. So your second round is going to be the opposite of that. I'll hold off on these other lotteries for a minute and head back to the HUEL. So here's our HUEL bottom finishers. In 14th place, somehow, J-Rock, Ghost Fog Berserks, who finished 5th last year and tumbled all the way down to 14th this year. Obviously, something of a rebuild happening there as well. So he's going to have the best odds at 60%. After that, you've got Park X Punishers, who will have a 30% chance of getting first overall here. Park X is in their 6th straight lottery here. It wasn't owned by Chris for all those years, but that franchise is in its 6th straight lottery. That is, by the way, the most consecutive lotteries of any team currently. Yeah, 6 straight. And then with the 10% chance here, having finished 12th overall, Commonwealth Atom Cats. That's a, are you a Hall of Famer? It's a Capwise Hall of Famer, I think, right? If you're not, you will be someday. So the Atom Cats have a 10% chance at getting first overall here. This is the Atom Cats' 2nd consecutive draft lottery. So I'm going to highlight my list here. Bring it on over to random.org and paste. And here we go. Atom Cats coming in with the 10% odds, just like in the PCFL. I swear this is random. Commonwealth Atom Cats will be drafting first overall in the HUEL draft, followed by Park X Punishers. And Ghost Fog Berserks, despite having the best odds, will in fact be drafting 3rd overall. But that serves you right for getting my first overall pick in PCFL. Next up, we're going to move on to the NAFL, the North American Fantasy League. Clear this out and grab my NAFL list. In the NAFL, we had Half Pucked took a big tumble as well, just like in HUEL. They fell from 5th to 14th as well. So they're going to have the best odds at 60%. Tractor gets the 2nd best odds at 30%. This is their, not their first ever, I'm sure, lottery, but they weren't in the lottery last year, nor was Half Pucked for that matter. And then with the 10% chance here, having finished 12th overall, is Alpha, Kenny, Buddy. Say that fast in your head, not out loud. Alpha, Kenny, I said it fast. Alpha, Kenny, Buddy, AKB, is in their 3rd straight draft lottery here. So hopefully this will be the one that puts them over the top. Good luck, everyone. Bring this over to random.org and click randomize. Half Pucked has the best odds, and they're going to walk away with the #1 overall pick. Congratulations, Half Pucked. Tractor gets the #2 pick, and then AKB will be getting the 3rd overall pick in the NAFL draft. Keep moving right along here. We got the WCFL is up next. Western Canada Fantasy League. In the WCFL, we have Slow Shark HC, who are in the 3rd consecutive lottery here. In fact, their 3rd consecutive best odds, having finished 14th for the 3rd straight year. That's a 60% chance for Slow Shark. The Highlanders come in here and get the 2nd best odds at 30%. They finished 13th. And Dallas Ice Dogs finished 12th to get a 10% chance here at the draft pick. Here we go. Slow Shark walks away with the 1st overall pick as expected, hoping to claw their way out of the basement. The Dallas Ice Dogs will will get the 2nd overall pick, and that leaves, of course, the Highlanders to get the third pick. So a little bit of upset there where the Ice Dogs, with just a 10% chance, jump up to the second overall pick, and Highlanders fall to third. Now we're going to do one more draft here, the IFHL, and then we'll head back over to our new league, the UFHL, and do the next lottery there. So the IFHL, International Fantasy Hockey League, which has Park X Punishers leading the way here. Park X Punishers has a 60% chance. They finished 14th. This is their second straight lottery over here. Right in the Nads, also in their second straight lottery, has the second best chance at 30%. And then the Cleveland Barons will have the 10% odds, having finished 12th. Bring that over. And click randomize. Here we go. Good luck. Park X Punishers walks away with number 1 overall, although Nads really snuck in there and nearly stole it. So Park X Punishers first overall, Nads get second overall, and that leaves Cleveland Barons to get third overall. So that league went exactly as expected. No upsets there. Clear this out, and then we're going to head back over to the UFHL. Now we have our set up here for the prospect draft, and we are ready to execute draft number 2. When I click this button, you're going to get an order for both parts of the amateur draft. Remember, they're going to be different, but they're based on each other. So 1 lottery, 2 draft orders. Here we go. Arthur Aces walks away with first overall in the amateur draft part 1. So again, that's going to be anyone who is JV eligible for the 2020-2021 season, which we're just finishing, who wasn't on one of the lists for the prospect draft. So you're going to get Lafreniere in there. You're going to get Tim Strudel or whatever the hell his name is from Ottawa, and all the people like that. Belka Interceptors comes in at number 2, and you can see Belka Interceptors, right? 3rd overall in the prospect draft, 2nd overall in the amateur draft. You're screwed in the inaugural draft. You're probably looking at 14th overall. Pirate and the Seals comes in. That's a couple of newbies there. Del Boca Vista, which is Henrik coming in at 4th, Alma Avalanche in 5th, and so on. Now, as you can see, this 1 through 7 is the exact same order of 8 through 14 down here. Likewise, the Central Red Army leads the way for 8 through 14, and those guys are going to come up here for 1 through 7. So Central Red Army, who gets 8th in part 1, is going to get first overall in part 2, and will have the best shot at whoever is number 1 this year in 2021. I haven't even started my research for that yet. But Mile End Mad Catters went from 1st in the prospect draft to 14th in the amateur draft, so that ought to put him somewhere in the middle on the inaugural draft, I would hope. Now, I want to say because the amateur draft is, I don't think I mentioned this before, I said that each of these are weighed separately. Because the amateur draft is a much better draft than the prospect draft, the place that you finished in the amateur draft, so if you were number 1 in the amateur draft, that counts for a lot more than if you were number 1 in the prospect draft. And that's how that weighting works. And that's what's going to help determine the inaugural draft order. But I'm going to hold you in suspense a little bit longer on that. We're going to switch back over to our current leagues, wrap those up. And then at the very end of the program here, we'll come back and take care of the inaugural draft order for the UFHL. So next on our list here is the SFHL, the Supreme Fantasy Hockey League, a league that I was once a member of, and happily not anymore because I could never figure my team out over there. Apparently, though, Park X Punishers, who took it over, figured it out quite well, having finished 2nd this year in the regular season. So confirms that I do indeed suck at this. SFHL. Here's our list. Who we got this year? We got the Charlotte Checkers here in 14th place. That is the same owner as the Cleveland Barons in the IFHL. And we're going to see them again in the GNFL lottery as the Raleigh Renegades. Big day here for Kevin. So Charlotte Checkers have the best overall chance at 60%. Cape Town Jokers have finished 13th, and they'll get the second best odds here. And the Pittsburgh Hornets will have the third best odds at 10%, having finished 12th. This league is interesting. This is our only league out of all 9 existing leagues. This is the only league where all 3 of these teams were not in the lottery last year. So we have 3 totally new teams in the lottery this year. So obviously whatever happened last year worked out well for those teams who all moved up the standings. So let's head on over to random.org and get this one done. Good luck, everybody. Cape Town Jokers come in and steal it. Cape Town Joke, ooh, geez, and checkers fall all the way down to 3rd overall. Cape Town Jokers had the 2nd best odds. They will get the 1st overall pick. Pittsburgh Hornets, who had the 3rd best odds, will get the 2nd pick. And 3rd overall is going to go to the checkers in spite of having had the best odds. So that's 3rd overall in 2 leagues for Kevin. So maybe you at least get to take the same person, do the same research. We will go back here, clear this. Next up is the GNFL. We've got just 2 leagues left of our existing leagues. And I just accidentally closed the tab. Yes. The GNFL has Price is Wrong finishing in last place. Now that team, yeah, that team finished in 2nd place last year and tumbled all the way down to 14th with a brand new owner. I'm thinking there was a little bit of a rebuild happened there, and maybe it didn't go so well. Let's call it a retooling. So the Price is Wrong, which is Barrett, will be getting the best overall odds here at 60%. 2nd best odds are going to Salt Ridge Warlocks, and 3rd best odds go to Raleigh Renegades, which again is Kevin from the previous leagues. Those 2 are both in their 2nd straight lottery, although I believe the Warlocks are new this year, so different team last year, same franchise. Not a lot of intrigue here, except that Price is Wrong had a terrible season. Good luck. Here we go. Price is Wrong takes home 1st overall. And not a moment too soon. They obviously need the help. So Price is Wrong, 1st overall. Salt Ridge Warlocks get 2nd overall as expected. And that leaves Raleigh Renegades to get 3rd overall. Chuckling because Raleigh Renegades doesn't even show up until 22nd overall here. It's a big way to go down that list before we got to them. Clear this. And we got 1 league left to go, the CFHL. Here's our matrix. Okay, so the CFHL, we've got Dallas Whalers in 14th place. This is the 3rd straight season in 14th. That's the 2nd time I've said that today. Yeah, that's the 2nd team in Capwise that's in that situation. So Dallas Whalers for the 3rd straight year will be given the best odds here. Dallas is also in its 4th straight lottery in the 4 seasons of this league. So, good luck. Flying Tigers have the 2nd best odds here at 30%. They're in their 3rd straight lottery out of 4 seasons. So we've got some bottom feeders in this league, still trying to find their way out. And then Texas Ice Cacti are, well, they weren't in it last year anyhow. So they've got a 10% chance here at stealing 1st overall. Copy this. This will be our last one on random.org. So the CFHL lottery. Good luck. Dallas Whalers get the first 9 in the list here. So Dallas Whalers will get 1st overall. Flying Tigers get 2nd overall, and 3rd overall will go to the Ice Cacti at having finished 12th. So that's it. So let me just bring this over here. What you're looking at here, this is the order of finish in the regular season for the league. And then this is your draft lottery results. So just to recap everything, PCFL, Brewpens 1st overall, even though the pick is owned by the Octopi. Power forward, 2nd overall. Pittsburgh Hornets, 3rd. In the ECFL, we have Duffy the Pool Slayer, 1st overall. Team White Fox, 2nd. And Don't Tase Me Bro in 3rd. HUEL, we have the Commonwealth Atom Cats in 1st. We have Parkex Punishers drafting 2nd. And Ghost Fog Berserks drafting 3rd. In the NAFL, we have Half Pucks drafting 1st. Tractor will be second, and Alpha Kenny Buddy drafting third. WCFL, we have Slow Shark HC up in first. Dallas Ice Dogs will be drafting second, and the Highlanders drafting third. In the IFHL, Parkex Punishers first overall. Right in the Nads will be drafting second, and the Cleveland Barons drafting third. In the SFHL, Cape Town Jokers get the first overall pick. Pittsburgh Hornets get second, and the Charlotte Checkers fall all the way to third. GNFL, Price is Wrong drafting first overall. Salt Ridge Warlocks drafting second, and Raleigh Renegades drafting third. And in the CFHL, Dallas Whalers will be drafting first overall, Flying Tigers second, and Texas Ice Cacti drafting third. There are your draft lotteries for our 9 existing leagues. Congratulations to all the winners. Now, I've held you in suspense long enough. Head back over here to the UFHL. I'm going to click this calculate button. That's going to run everything through our formulas, and it's going to give us the inaugural draft order. Look, it matters, obviously, who gets first overall. It really does. But I've actually looked back at the results over the last 5 expansions that we've done, which is the WCFL and so on. Yeah, that's 5. From the WCFL onward. First overall never, I should say, the inaugural draft order never correlates even close to directly to your finish in the standings, even in the first season. And obviously, as the seasons go on, it becomes even less and less important. So if you feel like you're getting screwed here, I'm sorry, but don't worry. I promise you, it's not going to have that big of an impact long term. So let's do it. First overall in the inaugural draft for the UFHL goes to New England Insanity. That's Justin. Tampa Glass Tigers will be drafting second. Del Boca Vista third. Parkex Punishers drafting fourth. You can read the list the rest of the way. So what did I say? I said Belka Interceptors, you'd have the worst luck because you finished third in prospect and second in amateur. Well, second worst luck. You're drafting 13th. Central Red Army actually is even lower. They've got first overall in the prospect draft, and they've got second overall in the prospect draft and first overall in amateur draft part 2. Now, I also should point out that the weighting between amateur draft part 1 and amateur draft part 2 is actually a little bit different. Part 2 is believed to be a better draft than part 1, especially as you go deeper in the draft, because you'll have the entire 2021 NHL draft list to choose from. The part 1 of the amateur draft, which is anyone who's JV eligible this past season, a lot of that is going to be siphoned off in the prospect draft. So your top end is going to be really good in that draft, but it's going to drop off pretty quick. So that's how that weighting worked a little bit. And that's why Central Red Army ended up drafting 14th overall in the inaugural, because they have that first overall in the amateur draft part 2. All right. That's it. So these draft orders are now final, official. I'm going to get everything posted on the forum, or in sometime in the next half hour or so, at least sometime today. This video will live on YouTube, so people who missed the live feed can still watch it after the fact. In the UFHL, if you're still listening, if you haven't hung up yet, in the UFHL, starting next week, I think it is, and check on the forum for the details on this, you can trade your entire draft position in any of these individual drafts. So if I'm Mile End Mad Catters and I'm saying I don't want first overall here, I would rather be down in the middle here, where I would, on the second round, come back around. Because don't forget, if you're drafting first overall here, you're drafting 14th overall in the next, which is 28th overall in the draft itself. So if you would rather have, say, 8th and whatever that works out to be, 22nd or something, if you'd rather have that than 1st and 28th, you might be able to find a taker. So if you can trade your position with someone else within the same draft, by all means, please do so. You can't trade your position across drafts. So you can only do it within prospect draft or within amateur draft part 1 or part 2 or the inaugural draft. That's the only thing you can trade right now. You cannot trade individual draft picks just yet. We're going to get there, but you can't do that just yet. You can trade draft position only starting, I believe it is next week. Confirm that on the forum. If you have any questions about that, check it out or ask there, and I'll answer them for you. just to wrap things up, completely unrelated to the draft lottery, obviously we're now in our playoffs. Just to remind everybody, your finish in the playoffs actually determines your finish in the draft. So we determine the lottery here. That's picks 1 through 3. Beyond that is determined by how you finish. So that team that's going to get 4th overall in the draft is the team that wins the consolation bracket and finishes 8th overall in the league. It's not a direct correlation from your regular season standings. It's actually how you finish in the playoffs. So that's incentive for everyone to work their ass off in the playoffs. Even if you're in the consolation bracket, keep plugging away, keep setting your lineups, keep bringing in your IR replacements, because it's going to affect your draft position. Once the playoffs are over, we'll get the draft order locked in, and then we'll be able to assign those actual draft pick numbers on the spreadsheet. There's also some new rules being discussed and being announced, I should say. Really not discussed, they are happening. So make sure that you're checking out the CHA rules section of the forum and looking at the 2021 rule changes, which are all coming into effect for next season. They're all listed there. I think there's 8 so far. They're all going to be worked into the rulebook update. So you'll get an updated rulebook in June probably. That's going to have all that information in it. But to give yourself a little preview, you're going to want to check that out. There's some really big ones in there this year, including changing a scoring category, changing the way free drop works, putting a limit on JV promotions, changing the way second replacements work for IR. Lots of stuff in there. So head over there, check that out. And if you have any questions, post them there. And that's it. I hope this was somehow entertaining. Certainly better for me to be doing it, talking to somebody instead of how I normally do it, which is just clicking buttons and posting the results on the forum. Like I said, I'll get these results up on the forum, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will